the Leader of Opposition, we now call on the Deputy Prime Minister.
So, what we're opting for on this side, House Gov, is the fact that we're seeing a trend around the world. The fact that teenage suicide is increasing. The fact that racial hatred is increasing. The fact that there is a larger, bigger class divide. The fact that social unrest is mounting. And what we're advocating for is this is all based on the fact that people aren't accepted because they're different. And what we're saying is, somewhere along the line, this trend can't continue. And somewhere along the line, someone needs to make the unpopular, the difficult choice to start doing something about the problem. Because what we want to do and have the society acceptance that what they're advocating for and what we can realistically achieve is not the same thing. And what we're saying is we need to do a simple way up. Of someone being unhappy but being themselves, or someone being happy and conforming to what the society is, because they are a social being and they are accepted and they actually have friends, okay? And that's so that they don't commit suicide and they don't have this hatred towards other people. What we're saying is that is more important to us, okay, than having people that is happy because they can conform and because people accept them. That is more important to us than having someone who has this idealistic view of being themselves. Okay. So before I get on to my main arguments, this whole idea that they presume that these intentions to be yourself are good, and the second idea that how this is actually going to lead to me actually having more friends, I'd like to touch on a few points of rebuttal. Now, what they're advocating for is this idea that people are judged at this stage in time, and how they want to solve this is by having a mutual understanding of the differences. Now, what I'm saying is, we're living in an integrated world, in an integrated society. Things like our constitution want people to be accepted and want to realize the differences. Okay, that actually protects that. But what we're seeing is that isn't working at this stage in time. If anything, racial divide and hatred between people are more at this stage in time, despite these efforts of integration and understanding, which is so medialized at this stage in time, that people are actually hating and have this more social divide actually, and these things aren't working. So what I'm saying is, yes, I would love if we could have people to realize and accept each other. That would be brilliant, okay? But that isn't working despite all our efforts. So now we need to make the hard choice and say that we want people to conform, because at the end of the day, I don't want one more teenage girl sitting in a room and cutting her wrists because she doesn't conform and because people... And that is what we're advocating for, the fact that we want people to be happy. No, thank you. Second point was this whole idea of discrimination, okay? And once again, what I said, what we can do and what we want to do are two entirely different things. Now, taking into consideration that discrimination is literally based on the fact that people are different, okay? I say that we can change this if we can have people conform to what society wants, okay? And I think the most prevalent example of that could be something on the Porch campus, because if you take into consideration cultures accept each other more, accept each other better. If you take like racial divide at the same time, if both people of different races study on the Porch campus and both of them actually are intelligent and both of them live in the same society and social society, okay, this whole idea, this environment, okay, they accept each other easier than a person who isn't studying on the Porch campus. So what I'm saying is, if we can have people of different races actually conform to what is the society and what the society wants, the ideals of society and what is acceptable, then they actually accept each other easier. And that's what we're advocating for, that can happen. And this whole idea, and that's what we're with now, is this whole idea of new thinkers and challenging. And what we're saying is that at this stage, social unrest is so high that we don't want people challenging, okay? And that what you also need to realize is about new thinkers, your intellectual capacity is not linked to your society, is not linked to your personality. So that is a flaw on the side of the house. And then this whole idea, what I want to do it while we're young, we say that your personality is formed while you're young. And then this person actually conforming while he is at a young age and still learning, because we feel that your personality is based on how the social factors impacting your life. You aren't born a chauvinistic hater towards all racial groups, and you aren't born a Christian. I think the social factors that influence your life actually form your personality, and that's what we say. These factors form your personality while you're young. Can I have that point, please?
Sir, what do you think is society's definition of social conformity?
Well, that doesn't matter what the definition of it is, okay? What we're saying is, if the majority of people within your society says this is the norm, and this is what the norm should be, and this is what we accept as the norm, and we won't judge you upon this, if this is what you are, then that is what you should conform to, because that is going to eventualize in you actually being accepted and not being hated against. The 2 points I want to get to is this whole idea of the fact that that me conforming is actually going to lead to me having more friends, okay? Because I say that when you conform, you have more shared interests. The fact that I and Marky can have conversations, the fact that we both support the Lions, okay? The fact that we can have shared conversations on the PIC and what is actually wrong here and right here is the fact that we have shared interest, okay? The fact that we share certain things. And what I say is if you conform, you're not going to sit with an instance where one person can't talk to another instance because they don't have the same interests. So if anything, this is going to lead to me having more friends, being more socially acceptable, and therefore actually not be leading a happier life. And that's what we're advocating for, that we can have meaningful social interactions. And that's directly touching on what Closing had said, okay? Now, the thing is that we need to realize is that, yes, this point of quality of life. Now we need to do this way. I am myself, and I'm my own self in my own right, but I'm not socially accepted, okay? Towards, I am conforming to what society wants, and I have friends, and I'm not discriminated against. So what we're advocating for is that quality of life that they mentioned. You're not going to get that when you're hated by everyone for being yourself. You're going to get that when you can actually have meaningful conversations, when you can have friends, when you're not discriminated towards each and every day, okay? When you can actually conform to what society says and being accepted by them. The second point I want to touch on is this whole idea that they presume that your intentions of being yourself is actually a good thing. Now, let's look at South Africa, and I would advocate that this is actually not the case. Because if anything in South Africa, we have this incentive for people to be themselves, this westernized ideal that you should actually exact what you want to be at all costs, okay? But if we look at things like racial groups and the fact that we advocate that they should, according to our constitution, develop in their own rights and their own things, okay? I say that this divide, based on the fact that we want them to conform and to develop in their own sense, okay, actually leads to the fact that these race groups are getting further and further apart from each other. And that is the fact, yes, the fact that you are allowed to like go out in your own defense, that means that people hate each other so much more because there is so much more of a difference between the white chauvinistic Afrikaner and the black guy sitting in some other, somewhere around the world. And that's what I'm saying is, that divide, if you leave people to like actually develop in their own sense, that divide gets so much bigger, and that like increases the fact that people do not can't accept each other and actually hate each other. And this is a westernized ideal. If you think like things like China and wherever, where things like China, where this ideal of being yourself isn't like advocated at all costs, okay? We see that people blend in, that they're more happy with their government, that they're more productive and those type of things. So that's what we're saying is that the thing that if people can actually just conform and be and not be that radical of a thinker, that we can actually live in a better society. Once again, I'd like to say that somewhere along the line of teenage suicide and racial hatred, class divide and social unrest, someone needs to start making the hard choices. And we say that conforming will solve these problems.